Welcome to another episode of White Balance This, the vlog where we talk about random thoughts, concepts, whatever I feel like talking about at the moment, or if I go into a tangent. So let's start with something topical in the news. So Justin Bieber just went to jail this past week, and yeah, nobody really cares. I think I might have just had a stroke and said that by accident, because I don't care. And now let's move on to something else. So this episode I'm going to be making two shameless plugs into projects or things that are going on that I enjoy myself. I have really no investment into how they do, but it would be great to see people that are watching this support and being interested in what's going on within these projects because I find them fun. I think you'll find them fun as well. The first is Rocket Jump and Freddie Wong have just opened their Indiegogo campaign for Season 3 of Video Game High School, or as they are calling it, the final season. And this is something that's really exciting for me. I've gotten to meet Freddie Wong and the Rocket Jump team a number of times since I've moved out here to Los Angeles. And they're just a really fun group of guys, and they're about as real as you can get. So it's definitely something that's fun to look into, see what exactly the whole deal is with Video Game High School. If you have the funds to support them, that's awesome because you'll get awesome swag and DVDs, posters, other things for donating to their Indiegogo campaign. I'm not sure what their current amount is that they've made at this point. I know their first goal that they're aiming for is $750,000, which sounds like a lot until you've seen how well a lot of these other Kickstarters and Indiegogo campaigns have gone for film. If you guys don't know what Video Game High School is, look it up on Netflix. I believe it's under Video Game High School, or you can try VGHS. You can watch the first and second season. The first season, the beginning of it's a little cheesy, so if the cheese is too much for you, just keep watching. It gets really good, and the second season is phenomenal. You'll be watching the final episode of the second season, and you'll spend the entire episode not wanting it to end because it's fantastic all the way through. So check out their stuff. I'll have a link to their website, Rocket Jump, as well as their Indiegogo campaign somewhere along the bottom of this screen here. And I'm going to be talking about work ethic today. And this was suggested to me by one of my friends. And I think it's a really good topic to discuss. I personally don't always understand the concept of the lack thereof work ethic. I remember my brother telling me one time about some of the people in our Boy Scout troop that just told him when leaders were telling them to get work done, oh yeah, let's just go sit over here and pretend that we're doing it, but then we'll come back later and tell them that we did it and then just not do anything. Let's just chill and not get work done. And personally, that's never made sense to me because I really enjoy hanging out with people, but I usually enjoy hanging out with people while I work with them. I'm in the film industry, and I think that the film industry is a lot of fun, but it's not necessarily fun because I'm just sitting there talking movies with my friends all day. It's because I'm getting work done because I'm focused and I'm working really hard on something. I know a lot of people that I've worked with that it's every single time you call cut, it's like they're having a coffee clutch. They're joking about this here or there, about what happened in the scene, things that weren't quite right, talking about just about everything, and it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, you're doing your job right now, let's get the work done and then let's move on. We can talk about it later, we can goof around, but for me what's really rewarding is getting the work done that day. I've had times working as a stage manager, I've told people to do things and then they just stand there and look at me and I have to tell them a couple of times, I gave you your work, now go do it. And then I'll find them later in the scene shop and they won't be doing the work and I have to tell them again, why aren't you doing your work? And eventually I feel like I'm just babysitting people. And personally, as for me, I don't feel like my job is to babysit people, but it tends to happen a lot where you have to follow people along and go, are you doing your work? Okay, move on. And then find them later and go, are you guys doing your work? And then have to just kind of keep following them. I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I have those days where I just feel like being lazy, or I didn't get enough sleep the night before, or I didn't sleep the night before, and I'm falling asleep and I don't feel like dealing with anything. But that's really no excuse. If anything, that's my fault for staying up too late, not getting enough sleep, whatever it might be, why ever I might be lazy. But it's not acceptable to not get your work done and not to try as hard as you can to do the best that you can. Personally, I try to have fun and get work done at the same time, but it doesn't necessarily always happen. Sometimes you have to be kind of hard with people that you're working with and be like, okay guys, now it's time to get work done. So maybe you guys should focus on what's going on. You can talk once you start doing your work. I mean, if you're hanging lights and stuff and you've got someone helping you out, you might as well have a conversation while that happens. But while I'm explaining what's going on to you, you shouldn't be talking to each other because we need to get a lot of work done. I'd be working a lot of gigs where I'd be hanging 140 different lighting instruments, and I'd have 2 or 3 days to get all done in. And anyone that's worked with theater knows that you can do that in one day if you really wanted to. It's not very enjoyable to do that in one day or even 2 or 3 days. So you need to have a lot of time to be able to get work done. As well, you have to learn kind of to be independent while you're working. If you finish one part of your job and you have nothing else to do that's related to that, move on to the next thing. You don't have to sit there and wait for someone to tell you. And if you really enjoy what you're doing with your work, you'll have fun doing it whether you're talking to people or not. And I think that's one issue that we have is people feel this constant need to talk. And I think this is an issue, I don't know where exactly it comes from, but sometimes it's nice just to have quiet. Sometimes it's nice not to be talking to people all the time. And that's kind of my tangent on work ethic, but I feel like there's a lot of times that you should just get work done and realize that if you do your work well, you'll take pride in that and you'll have fun. And a lot of times, once you actually start working, you can have discussions, you can talk to people and goof around. But first, you have to get the work, you have to start doing the work and then get the work done before you can really enjoy what you're doing. The final thing that I'm going to be talking about today is, like I said at the beginning, that I'm going to be shamelessly plugging two different things. The second thing is kind of two things within one. The first is one of my friend's YouTube channels, which is William James Bradley. I'm going to have a link somewhere in here once I figure out all this YouTube stuff. But he does a very similar thing to me. He has a weekly or monthly vlog. I'm not exactly sure what his release schedule is on his video blog, but he's from Wisconsin as well as me, so we'll talk about similar things sometimes. And he just talks about what's going on in his life. He's living out here in Los Angeles, I think Burbank. I might be mistaken. I'm not quite sure exactly where in the city he lives. But he's got a lot of interesting things to talk about. And then the other channel that he runs, or one of his siblings might run, is his channel, the Super Bradley Brothers. And I'm pretty sure he does it with his brothers or brother. I'm not sure how many of them there exactly are. But basically, they do a lot of retro video games, you could almost say. So if you're into the nostalgia of the old video games, they'll do these videos where they'll play video games and talk about all of them and what's going on. And their last video was the Rugrats Scavenger Hunt, which the game itself is terrible. I was just watching some of it, and if I was watching it without the commentary, it would have been terrible. But the commentary made it really entertaining. It was really fun. It's like a 10-minute video, I think. So I'll probably have a link to that somewhere in here as well. But thank you guys for watching. Like I said, check out what Rocket Jump is doing with Video Game High School Season 3, the final season, as well as check out William James Bradley's YouTube channel and the Super Bradley Brothers. They're all kind of doing very awesome things as well. I just released yesterday the first episode of my gaming series, which I'm naming the Gimp Gamer series, as my left side is partially paralyzed and I play everything with my mouse. You can find that, and I'm hopefully going to be editing and releasing a couple more episodes throughout this week, as the first game tended to be really long. This next week I think we're going to be playing APB Reloaded, so it's going to be a little bit shorter and it'll probably be more succinct to the point. I'm hoping on getting myself and 3 of my other friends together online to play so that we can all discuss and kind of have ridiculousness go down while we're playing. And hopefully you guys find it entertaining, especially if you really enjoy video game playthroughs. And if you guys have ever heard of EVE Online, all I'm going to say, just look that stuff up and see what's going on. It's insane, and I'm just kind of amazed as to what's going on right now. So that's another thing to follow, and I might link it here, internet things, whatever. So thank you guys for watching, and have an awesome day. And if you hear clicking in the background, that's my roommate being awesome. So yeah, have a good one.